Blazing Saddles, the hidden truths Hollywood didn't want you to know early. 5 decades have passed since the wild, unforgettable film Blazing Saddles first hit movie screens. Directed by the legendary Mel Brooks, the 1974 Western parody broke all the rules. It made fun of racism, poked holes in Hollywood's traditions, and made audiences laugh so hard they cried. But while most people remember the hilarious lines and crazy characters, few know what went on behind the scenes. The making of Blazing Saddles was filled with drama, fights, unexpected casting changes, and even secrets that Warner Brothers tried to bury. What looked like a funny cowboy movie on the outside was actually one of the most chaotic productions in Hollywood history. Behind the scenes, there were studio arguments, troubled actors, offensive dialogue, and even writers who never got paid. It all came together to create a film that still stands strong as one of the greatest comedies of all time. In this article, we'll uncover the hidden truths behind Blazing Saddles, the ones the producers didn't want the public to know. Whether you're a lifelong fan or hearing about it for the first time, these stories will change how you see the movie forever. The sheriff who almost wasn't, Richard Pryor and Cleveland Little, one of the biggest surprises of the film, is who ended up playing the lead. Cleveland Little is now remembered as the clever and confident black sheriff who takes on the racist town of Rock Ridge. But did you know he was never supposed to get the role? Mel Brooks, the film's director, actually wrote the role with Richard Pryor in mind. Pryor helped write the script and brought much of the film's edge and humor to life. But when it came time to cast the role, Warner Brothers executives were nervous. They worried about Pryor's reputation. His stand-up comedy was full of controversial jokes, and he had a public history of drug use. They didn't want to take the risk. That's when Cleveland Little stepped in. Although he wasn't well known at the time, he gave a stunning audition. His charm, timing, and smooth delivery won everyone over. And when the cameras rolled, he delivered a performance that became legendary. Today, it's hard to imagine anyone else in that role. Still, knowing Pryor almost played Sheriff Bart shows just how different the movie could have been. Gene Wilder, the last-minute hero who saved the film's surprises, didn't stop with Sheriff Bart. Another major role, the drunken gunfighter, known as the Waco Kid, also went through a roller coaster of casting drama. Mel Brooks first offered the part to John Wayne, the most famous cowboy actor in the world. But when Wayne read the script, he turned it down immediately. He said it was too dirty and didn't match his clean-cut image. Brooks then chose Gig Young, a well-known actor who seemed like the perfect fit. But there was a problem. Young was struggling with alcohol addiction in real life. When filming started, he arrived on set drunk and couldn't perform. The production came to a halt. That's when Mel Brooks called up his friend Gene Wilder. The two had worked together before on The Producers. Brooks begged him to join the film, and Wilder agreed. With no time to prepare, Wilder jumped in and gave a brilliant performance. His calm, deadpan delivery as the Waco Kid balanced perfectly with Cleveland Little's energy. Together, they became one of comedy's most memorable duos. Without Wilder, the movie might not have survived. Madeline Kahn's risky audition and racial tension on set. Madeline Kahn also faced a strange experience while joining the film. Brooks asked her to show her legs during the audition, which made her uncomfortable. At first, she thought he was being inappropriate, but Brooks explained that the character, Lily Von Stupp, was meant to be a sexy lounge singer, inspired by the famous Marlene Dietrich. Dietrich was known for showing off her legs. Kahn agreed to show them, but told Brooks firmly, no touching. She got the part and went on to give one of the funniest performances of her career. While some casting stories were odd, others were more emotional. One actor, Bern Gilliam, struggled with his role. He had to say offensive, racist lines in a scene with Cleveland Little. Gilliam felt uncomfortable. He didn't want to be misunderstood or hurt anyone, but Little told him to say the lines exactly as written. The film's purpose, he said, was to show how ridiculous and ugly racism is. Their honest conversation helped both men get through the scene. That level of trust turned a painful moment into powerful satire. Mel Brooks battles the studio over every little behind the scenes. Mel Brooks wasn't just directing, he was also fighting. Warner Bros. Constantly tried to change the script. They were worried about the racial jokes, the controversial language, and the movie's wild structure. They pushed back on almost everything. Brooks had to fight for every line, every joke, and even the ending. One of the most shocking things about Blazing Saddles is its final scene. The characters actually leave the movie set, break the fourth wall, and run into other films being made on the Warner Brothers lot. There's even a giant pie fight in the studio cafeteria. At first, the studio called it ridiculous. They wanted a normal ending, but Brooks insisted. He believed the chaotic finale fit the movie's tone and message. In the end, he got his way, and audiences loved it. That ending is now seen as one of the most brilliant parts of the film. Mel Brooks didn't just protect the movie's comedy, he protected its soul. Without his persistence, Blazing Saddles wouldn't be the same. A theme song sung incomplete. Confusion on the funniest behind-the-scenes facts is how the film's theme song came to life. Brooks hired singer Frankie Lane, a serious artist known for classic Western songs like Rawhide. Lane had no idea he was recording a theme for a comedy. Brooks wanted it that way. He told Lane nothing about the movie's humor. The goal was to get Lane to sing with total seriousness, which he did. He poured his heart into the song, thinking it was for a dramatic Western. The result? A beautiful, powerful theme song that played over a comedy, making the contrast even funnier. When Lane finally saw the film and realized what it was, he was shocked, but it worked. That contrast made the film's opening unforgettable. Once again, Brooks had made a bold creative decision, and it paid off. It's proof that comedy often works best when it's mixed with sincerity. The failed TV spin-off no one talks about after Blazing Saddles became a box office hit. Warner Brothers wanted more. They came up with the idea for a TV series based on the movie. The pilot was called Black Bart, and it starred Louis Gossett Jr. as the sheriff. The network had high hopes, but it didn't take long to realize they had a problem. The jokes that worked in the movie were too risky for TV. In the 1970s, television had strict rules. You couldn't use the same language. You couldn't show the same kinds of scenes. The satire that made the movie powerful had to be watered down. When the pilot aired, the response was mixed. Some liked the idea. Others thought it lacked the sharp edge that made Blazing Saddles great. The show wasn't picked up. Just like that, the spin-off was dead. Today, very few people even know it existed. It's another example of how hard it is to capture lightning in a bottle, and how unique the original film truly was. The writers who made the movie, but got nothing on of the saddest parts of this story is what happened to the film's writers. Mel Brooks led a team of 5 people who wrote the script. Alongside him were Norman Steinberg, Alan Euger, Andrew Bergman, and Richard Pryor. They spent countless hours crafting the jokes and storylines. But when the film was done, only Brooks got paid. The others received no money, not a cent. It was all due to studio policies and contract issues. Brooks was the director, so he had more power to negotiate. The others had no choice. They accepted it and moved on. Still, their work shaped one of the greatest comedies ever made. Some went on to have strong careers. Andrew Bergman wrote other popular films. Richard Pryor became a legend. But the unfair treatment of the writers reminds us that even big successes can come with behind-the-scenes pain. It's a hidden part of the movie's legacy, one most fans never hear about. The struggle over the film's name and budget, even choosing the name Blazing Saddles, wasn't easy. The original title was Tex-X, a play on Malcolm X that made the film's racial themes clear, but felt too serious. Other names were considered, like Black Bart, Purple Sage, and the Texas Cowpoke. None of them captured the film's wild humor. Finally, someone suggested Blazing Saddles. It sounded fast, funny, and full of action. It was perfect. The film's budget was also small, about $2.6 million. That's very little, especially for a Western, but Brooks made it work. He reused sets. He played the roles himself to save money. He hired a mix of big names and unknown actors. Everything was done carefully to stay on budget. And yet, when the movie hit theaters, it made over $119 million. That kind of return is rare. It shows that passion, creativity, and courage can beat money every time. The birth of a son during the birth of a legend. While all this was happening, Mel Brooks had another major life event. In May 1972, during the writing of Blazing Saddles, he became a father. He and his wife, actress and Bancroft, welcomed their son Max Brooks into the world. Brooks was balancing sleepless nights, script rewrites, and battles with the studio, all while learning how to be a dad. That quiet family moment was happening at the same time as one of Hollywood's loudest productions. Years later, Max Brooks would grow up to become a writer himself. he became famous for writing World War Z, a best-selling book that was turned into a movie. The creativity clearly ran in the family, in a way. Both father and son were born during the same storm of creativity. One gave the world a legendary comedy, the other, a new kind of horror story. Together, they proved that storytelling runs deep in the Brooks family.